Hello everybody, it's Wyron here with a bit of a speculation video, hoping to make it a little short and make sure it doesn't run too long. But for those of you who don't know, on academy.totalwar.com, I'll make sure to leave the link down below. There's information on the incoming lords, or more specifically right now, just information on Luther Harkon, alongside 3 silhouettes. Now, in this video, I kind of wanted to discuss Luther Harkon, his abilities, or well, what we know about him, or what we've been informed about him, as well as the other 3 lords and what they might be entailing, what they might be bringing to the table, and all that sort of stuff. So, let's just dive right in, I suppose. So first and foremost, Luther Harkon, who's the only concrete thing we know, though some of the other ones we could speculate pretty handily about. If we scroll down, obviously we can see he's got an ability, or he's got stuff pertaining to lizardmen and the Slann in general, it would appear. Faction effects, he's got fierce hatred of lizardmen, which worsens his relations with them. We've seen this on multiple factions before. Either better or worse relations with specific enemy factions. But it does seem to also provide him with bonuses against these armies. So perhaps something like, I do believe Queek has specific benefits against dwarves. And I'm trying to think of if there's anything else, any other factions that have specific bonuses in specific matchups. Pretty sure there are, just failing to remember them right now. But regardless, this could be pretty cool. This could be nifty because you're going to start near a lot of lizardmen. We were informed of a starting position, which is the Awakening. This is on the Vortex map, but given that the exact same region exists on the Mortal Empires map, I would assume it's going to be there as well. I don't really see it not being included. The Awakening is bordering right next to some lizardmen. You will start to fight High Elves and Skaven as well, so this ability probably won't be useful against those, but hey, for most of the fighting, it should definitely be nifty, at least early on. As far as Lord effects, this is one of the funny things. His mind is fractured, so any one of his personalities could seize control with different consequences, which is pretty funny. It kind of reminds me, I don't know how this will be implemented, if this is going to be like a turn-by-turn basis on the campaign map, if it's going to be something that happens in battle. It reminds me a little bit of Borderlands pre-sequel, where Claptrap had a ability that that made his ultimate ability randomly generate something, and it could be completely useless or completely great, depending on what you got. But yeah, I don't know what this is going to imply. If it's a huge impact, I could see this becoming incredibly frustrating and annoying. But at the same time, if it's a very small impact, I could see it being something that people just don't care about. Like, there's already certain penalties and certain things that people just don't give a darn about. So I'm not entirely sure. See, he's going to have to try to work on hitting a sweet spot between those. But we'll see if they manage to succeed there. For Mount, he does get the Deathshriek Terrorgeist. Now, we did see Terrorgeist in the trailer. So it looks like, much like Vampire Counts, you might actually be able to contest the skies with Luther Harkon and the Vampire Coast here. If he's able to get a Deathshriek Terrorgeist, that's not bad at all. Terrorgeists are pretty darn solid. It would give him a source of AP, give him a source of anti-large. And yeah, that would, unless a Deathshriek Terrorgeist is different. But that would be pretty cool. The fact that he gets a mount is nice. I kind of assumed he was just going to be a pure Footlord, to be quite honest. Unique item, Slann Gold. Well, it gives more magic resistance and reduces window magic starting him out for enemy armies, which is interesting. I find it also reduces the cost of eliminating dead, which I think is more useful here. The problem is increased magic resistance and increased window magic. The problem is that in campaign, AI is terrible at using magic, and there's not that many units that do magic damage to begin with, so I feel like this is kind of useless. Maybe if you're doing a head-to-head, it's useful, but otherwise I just don't see it as that useful, because AI's usage of magic is abysmal. For unique skills, Man of War, he gets better leadership, Depth Guard, and Zombie Death Gans, which I just don't see as that useful. Unfortunately, Undead, you don't care about leadership that much. They basically hold as long as you need them to hold. That said, the improved hero capacity could be good. Severed from the Winds is another magic resistance and reduced winds and magic ability. Once again, like I said, maybe in head-to-head this is useful, but in normal campaigns is just not that good. Like, your lord's probably not going to be getting sniped by AI. Like, maybe if you're fighting Skaven and you're YOLOing some more Blighting Cannons. Otherwise, I just don't see that useful. Hand Cannon, well, his bullets explode. I don't know. It doesn't actually say that, but it increases missile damage for himself and his zombie gunnery, which I could see as being very nifty, especially if it's just a map-wide effect. Moment of Lucidity, improving armor and melee defense, not bad. And the Pirate King, reducing unit upkeep and increased global recruitment capacity, always nifty, always good, so no complaints there. Starting position, as we already saw, the Awakening, and he does get the Dread Abyssal as his ship, which you can see here with those fancy triple cannons in the front. So that does look like a lot of fun. But that's Luther Archon, and that's what we know about him. We don't have any concrete stats as far as I'm aware. We don't have any concrete numbers on his abilities or anything like that, but honestly, I'm not that impressed. There's a lot of abilities here that are just garbage, in my opinion, like magic resistance and winter magic in single player. Like, who cares? Yeah, it just doesn't get benefits out of it. Better leadership on undead units. Like, come on, give me a break. So some of these do look good. Some of it looks hilarious and looks like it could be a lot of fun. Most notably, his random personalities. Some of it makes me pretty happy, like the fact that he's getting a mount. And if he's able to shoot from his mount, that's going to be even more awesome. But some of this, I'm kind of ambivalent or disappointed by. I just don't feel like it's that good. Regardless, going on to what you guys probably are more excited about, which is speculation. And well, we've got two that are basically guaranteed. One that's still very much up in the air. So the first is probably Count Noctilus. Now, personally, when I was looking at the hat and the aesthetic here, I was thinking it could also be Dracula. It's a little hard to tell. You don't really see his hook hand, and you only see a halberd. But apparently Noctilus does lug around a halberd. Though in this image he does seem to have a sword. So I'm not entirely sure. But otherwise, with the aesthetic, the moss on the back, and the different spikes and that sort of stuff, it does look like this. It makes sense that this would be Noctilus. I don't really have much contest. I don't think I'd contest that. I do think it's rather likely. Plus, he would make sense because he's one of the most well-known or most popular vampire pirates from the Dreadfleet thing on White Dwarf. And one of the interesting things, and I'm not entirely sure as far as mechanics go, but what he could potentially have. Well, first of all, he apparently has the art of shadow magic, which would be cool. If he has lore shadows, that would be nice as an additional lore. Mixed lore lords can be a lot of fun. They can be nifty. It obviously depends. I think some mixed lores are not as good as others, but it could be very useful. And one of the interesting things, I'm not entirely sure what his location will be. It says Galleon's Graveyard, which is kind of like, as far as I understand, it's like Davy Jones' locker in the Warhammer universe, or which is really obscure. And if it's an actual place on the map, I don't think it is. I don't even know if it is. There is though, as far as I'm aware, I'm not even sure if there's really a location for it given in White Dwarf. I've looked on the wiki, I've looked on the Lexiconum, and I actually have not been able to find anything in regards. There's a map of the Galleon's Graveyard, which is kind of silly and doesn't really tell you where that is. But what is interesting about Noctilus is that he has raised up a bunch of ships, besides the fact that he has shadow magic. So I could see him, if the ships are normally unique to the single vampire, or single lord, and you only have that lord, and only he gets a ship, I could see, or only your legendary lord gets a ship, I could see him as being potentially having some sort of ability that lets him have multiple pirate ships or something along those lines, to reflect his ability to raise new ships from the dead. Otherwise, he does seem like a pretty legit choice. I'm not really surprised that he would make the cut. And yeah, we're kind of excited to see what he's all about. Now, alongside him, this is probably given the guess here on the fourth one, but given that we basically know exactly what this is, it's a weird choice. Airness Assault Spite, probably, and if you look at the picture here, it's basically plead no contest. There's just no, like, this is literally her. I don't see how this could be anyone else. You can even see the little details like the sea urchin on the back there, or the little chopsticks sticking out her, or the pins or whatever sticking out her head, and she's got the spikes on her armor and yada yada. She's this is RNS Assault Spike. I don't think there's any contest there. But she's not a vampire. She's not a necromancer. She's just a mutant. Um, so a bit of an odd choice. Now, what I could see her, well, first of all, I could see her as having some benefits because we've already seen some non-undead or probably not undead units like those crabs, which seem to be alive. So she could have some sort of benefits to those, to these sea creatures, that would perhaps benefit her somehow. I would assume she's got some sort of item to sort of explain away why she has undead under her control. Um, Probably something that she found some vampire's nail clippings or whatever, and it gave her vampiric powers. I don't really know. But I would assume she'll have something along those lines. But what I could see as some cool potential here is to give her a living roster as well, or a small sub roster of living units. I could see something like, say, Free Company, Black Ark Corsairs, um, and I don't know what else would fit the sort of pirate theme as far as units go. But living units, I could see making the cut like in this for her, and making her a sort of Arkan for her faction. Like Arkan's got access to a few vampire units, or Alariel has access to tree units. I could see Airness Assault Spike getting access to a few human or maybe dark elf units, even though that might be stretching the lore a bit. She could be sort of a hybrid lord, have some access to living troops. It's also quite possible that, given that she's supposed to be the most, or one of the most feared pirate captains of Certosa, I could see her starting in Certosa. Um, Otherwise, if they decide to go with this Norskin, I do think a lot of this information is all obscure. But if they decide to go with her Norskin heritage sort of thing, I could see her starting in Norska. I find that a little less likely. That said, on the map for Vortex, we've got both, which is important. It's important to know that these guys have somewhere to start in Vortex, more so than Mortal Empires. Mortal Empires, you can shove them wherever. But on Vortex, you've got Sartosa as well as a smidgen of Norska. So it could happen. And obviously in Mortal Empires, you've got Sartosa and Norska. So I could see it making the cut. I could see her making the cut there. Now that leaves one oddball. Now the fourth speculation. Well, aesthetically, there's been a few guesses. Someone said Drekla. I don't think Drekla's likely. First of all, this doesn't look like Drekla. Second of all, Drekla's like a lackey of Luther's, so it wouldn't really make sense for him to make the cut. And like we said, he just doesn't look like him. And one of the hopes people had on who this would be was actually Vangeist, who seems to be like a wraith type lord. And makes him a sort of wraith hero. I'm not even sure, but it doesn't look like him either. He would be actually pretty cool, just by the little description, snippet of a description here, with his dual whip blades and creepy look here. He looks pretty awesome. I could definitely get behind him making the cut, but unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. It doesn't look like him. Now, what it does look like, and this is probably the most legitimate speculation I've seen, is that it's Charlotte Jacob here, who I assume is from White Dwarf. Looks to be a vampire. Uh, I could see some of this stuff. Like if she's got a cloak or if she's got really long hair of some sort or whatever, I could see why it would sort of distort this outline a little bit. I don't know. It is like we can't. This the way this shape is. It could be a man. It could be a woman. It kind of seems like it could be a woman, like sort of pushing her hips out. Um, and with the fan especially, and the sort of staff there, and then the headdress, I could see this very easily being Charlotta, which is a little odd. There are other undead lord choices that would make more sense, especially Vangeist. But even Noctilus and his retinue has like a lord who's from the he's got lords from the Tomb Kings. He's got Skaven, undead Skaven. He's got units like that. So it would be a bit of a Helmengorst choice in the sense that it's someone obscure and that nobody really cares about. But it does look cool. I don't really have any speculation on her because there's no information as far as I'm aware. This is pure speculative. On the forums, there was a whole speculation thread. People were debating who it could possibly be. And um, yeah, we'll see. One of the people have been kind of flustered or angry about Saltspite. I could see Saltspite being cool. I could see her being a nice addition. I could also see her being garbage. I don't know. We'll see. It could be kind of disappointing or like throwing things out or throwing the lore out the window with her being vampire control of vampire units. But we'll see. I want to see how CA executes it first before judging too harshly. I do think the Charlotte Jacob I think is a bit of a weird choice. I will admit, much like Gorse was a really weird choice for the vampire accounts. I know many. We don't know it's her. I think it's a safe bet to say it's her. I, if I had to bet, this is what I would pick based on what I know. Yeah, it's a weird choice. I know people are already up in arms about CA picking because of the whole female general thing. People are up in arms saying it's a diversity pick. I'm not really sure I agree. I could see it just being a rule of cool thing or whatever. CA's done weird choices before, both Tretch and Gorst being clear examples of those odd choices. So I'm not necessarily on that boat, but it is a little surprising. Regardless, though, we will see. And yeah, we've got information on Harkon. We've got basically 2 guarantees and a 4th educated guess. So I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you found it informative and perhaps entertaining and fun to speculate. If you have any comments, any criticism, any knowledge on the lore that I don't have and that you'd like to share, I'd honestly love if you guys would post it down below. If you've got some stuff about where Galleon's Graveyard or where it might be on the map, that would be great to know. I'd love to have some information. If you guys don't think this is Charlotte Jacob, if you think this is someone else, and please let me know. I'm honestly curious. I'd love to know who this is. I think these 2 we can basically nail down to Noctilus and Saltspite. So, but this 4th one, obviously a bit up in the air. Regardless, that is it for the video. Like I said, don't hesitate to comment down below, especially if you've got additional stuff you'd like to add. Yeah, I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.